freedom fighters. I'm back with another one. Well, I saw a comment the other day about how the Supreme Court's going to save us, so I figured I'd talk about that. SCOTUS, as they call it. The Supreme Court of the United States. Well, it's one of these, hopium comments from a Q-tard channel or something. How they're going to save us, and everything relies in the hands of SCOTUS. And I did a video once before about Greg Abbott, and I think it was called, he won't save you or something like that. Or I think it was he won't defend you. But, a lot of people said, oh, yeah, Abbott's going to take care of Texas and, everything's going to work out over there. I did a video about DeSantis ain't going to save you. None of these people are going to save you. Even Trump. I did one on Trump. He's not going to save you. At the end of the day, everyone's looking for a savior. There's only one savior, and that's Jesus Christ. But, today we'll do a deep dive into how SCOTUS won't save you. The comment was, don't worry, the Supreme Court is going to take care of it, and, it's in the right hands. And I think it was about Trump getting removed off the Colorado ballot. And, I didn't even talk about that yet. I was going to make a video, and honestly, I'm just tired of it all. Like, it's all so tiresome at this point where I'm just like, I don't even really care. I mean, I know where this all leads to. I know how this goes. I know how the story ends. And I'm a big fan of football. So it's like, if there's a really good game on or something and you can't watch it, you put it on record, you glance down at your phone and you happen to catch the final score or something, or you walk into a restaurant and the game's on and you see the last, 4 or 5 minutes, and then, your friend calls and tells you how good of a game it was, and, there was a pick six and a safety and fumbles, and it was back and forth and yada yada yada, and you're like, meh, I know how the game ends, and you no longer have interest in watching the game again because you already know how it ends. That's basically where I'm at with the whole politics and everything. I know where this ends, so all the theater and circus in between is just pointless at this point. But back to the base Supreme Court will take care of it all. And just on a side note, like, I'm so tired of all these memes, of Clarence Thomas with the red eyes and, the Supreme Court, superhero memes and stuff like that. And I'm not dogging on Clarence Thomas or anything. I like him. He's definitely the best we got, all the rest are, pretty much rhinos. Kavanaugh is, milquetoast, middle of the road. He's going to stab us in the back, I feel like, down the road. Coney Barrett, she's alright. Gorsuch, whatever. But so based, if you can't hear the sarcasm. But basically what I'm getting to is, what if it wasn't based? One day it's not going to be based. If you're in the camp who believes it is based right now. But someone once told me politics is like a pendulum. And, it swings back and forth. So don't worry. If something doesn't go your way, the pendulum will always swing back. But the problem is my freedoms, my rights don't swing. How's that for a t-shirt? I'm not a swinger. It's like my freedoms, my rights aren't a noodle. They don't bend and twirl. They don't flow with the wind. They don't move. They're a concrete, wall, a concrete barrier, a stone wall, a steel wall, a immovable object. It does not move. It does not swing. It does not sway. And this ultimately, coincidentally, my last video was God or government. And that's what it comes down to, is where does your freedoms come from? And if you believe your freedom comes down to what a group of robes say, or what a uniform and a badge allows you to do, or says what you can or cannot do, well, then you're not free. And stop living the lie. And that's what a lot of these people are doing, man. They're always telling themselves, what feels good, and the hopium comments, and the memes, and all this stuff. You're not free. You're relying on other people to tell you what you can and cannot do. When it comes down to things that God gave you the ability to do them. It's a gift from God. And so far the Supreme Court upholds, the right to religion. So, it's much deeper than what the Constitution or, what anything says, what laws on paper or anything say. It's a religious belief. And they'll soon outlaw that as well, which is why, like, what are you going to tell? You're going to say, oh, if they outlaw Jesus Christ, if they outlaw Christianity or Catholicism or whatever it is you believe in, you're just going to go with the flow. Oh, I guess a group of robes say I can't worship that anymore. I can't believe in that, so can't do it anymore. But, yeah, I mean, so back to the point is, if it was based or if it's not based, even if it was based, it's not always going to be. And people say, well, not in my lifetime, it won't be. Well, it almost was. I mean, look how close we got. When RBG passed, we got another judge, and, what did Trump put in? Like 3 or 4 judges? I can't even remember. But yeah, if Clinton got in, I mean, God knows who would have been in there. Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And, RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG, she actually gave a speech one time that was pretty good, where she was talking about how, the Supreme Court needs to be held to a higher standard, and that judges need to rule on, facts and the Constitution, and basically the law and the Bill of Rights and all this stuff, and not act upon their beliefs and their ideologies. But she never did that. She always went back to her ideologies and beliefs, which goes back to another video I did one time called "Are Humans Inherently Good?" And basically what it came down to is people are always going to vote in their favor. They're always going to do what they believe, or, or their ideological beliefs. So it goes back to, it won't always be based, and the people we're going to get in there. I mean, look at who we got now. The newest judge, Ketanji Brown Jackson, a DEI hire that can't even identify or define a woman in congressional hearings on her, SCOTUS pig hearings. This is what we're going to get. This is the future down the road. So, people say, oh, no, but Gen Z is trending conservative, and no, they're not. That's all more hopium that, the Q-tards are pushing, and all these controlled opposition right. I've already touched on that as well. They'll tell you, we're winning. The Gen Z's turning conservative, and no. And they just came out with a poll the other day, like 20% now identify as LGBTQ, WTF, all that stuff. It was down from like 2% to like 20, 25%, something like that. So like a quarter. It's going to be the wokest, generation of all time. And then they're like, oh, Gen Alpha is going to come back strong. And they're even named Alpha. So they're going to, take back the country. And no. Keep telling yourself all this feel good, stuff. It ain't going to happen. But, yeah, I mean, that's what it's going to come down to is where do your rights and freedoms come from? And these people are going to, not in my lifetime, you're going to tell yourself, well, these robes are going to be telling your children what they can have and what they can't. These robes are going to be definitely ruling over your grandchildren. And are you going to be telling them their rights are from God or for government? And the Cali just ruled that you have no right to carry, or they banned concealed carry. And again, they were like, oh, this is going to go to the Supreme Court and, this and that. Well, they've already done this in New York. The Supreme Court ruled Bruin, and there was another case, I can't even remember what it was, somebody versus New York or something. And then New York just said, meh, oh well, we'll do it anyway. And we'll say you can't carry, over here, this close to a public building, or 1,000 yards from a school, or on the sidewalks, or public places, and this and that. And it basically turned out to be everywhere. So now California is going to do it. And then the Supreme Court does nothing about it. There's no repercussions or consequences for this. I was talking about this one time with somebody, and they say, well, the Supreme Court doesn't have their own branch of enforcement. It's not like they have a enforcement branch where, they go do anything about it. So their rulings almost mean nothing. And, you don't see any of the good men and women in blue busting down these politicians' doors, or any of these fellow officers who go enforce these unconstitutional laws and go against your civil rights. No, they never do that. And it reminds me of this one article I think we touched on one day about when Trump was president. And I think it was from maybe like WAPO or New York Times, or, one of these crap-tard rags they call newspapers, that was bragging how we don't give Trump his briefings, and, when he tells us to do stuff, we just ignore it, and we don't do anything at all, and, we're stalling out his presidency, and we just do whatever we want, and we're held, no one holds us to account. No one does anything about it. Enforcement only comes from the left. And believe me, those uniforms, those badges, those robes, they will tell you, or your children or your grandchildren, what they can own and what they can do. And it goes back to like, when I was a kid, you get in trouble and your mom tells you, oh, you can't watch TV for the day or something. I said, oh yeah, well, what happens when I turn on the TV? I just do it anyway. Sorry, Mom, I know I was a lot to deal with. But then, who heard, when your dad gets home, he'll do it. And, because they lay down the law. And, that's why they're trying to destroy the nuclear family. But I did it in school as well. They're like, hey, you do this, you're going to have detention. Well, you just don't go to detention. You do this, you're going to get suspended. Okay, well, suspend me. Now I don't go to school. I got what I want. So they're going to do whatever they want. SCOTUS ain't going to help you. I want to hear your guys' opinion. But till the next one, you know what I always say. We are on our own. No one's going to save us. Only God can save you. So get right with God. Freedom Fighters out.